I don't think he's a very good Prime Minister. It doesn't seem like he really has strong values.
Mandelson, in my view, has always been quite a man of questionable character.
I've lost confidence in him as a Prime Minister, and a crucial moment seems to have lacked both conviction and judgment.
And honest, and the people who are trying to stir up the rubbish about him and implicate him in everything that's going wrong, I think they're just asking for a racist reform government.
We know that people in power will always protect those in power.
So what are your thoughts on Keir Starmer?
I have many thoughts, but I think from the outset, many of us saw that he didn't really have much to say. It doesn't seem like he really has strong values. I think he kind of blows with the wind. He says what people want to hear, and I think maybe he needs a little bit more of a backbone.
I think he made a bad judgment. There's a point in time where he actually appointed him. I thought at the time, this guy's got lots of previous. He had to resign at least 2 times before that, I think. Mandelson was also part of the right-wing Labour Party, who was involved in blocking left-wing candidates. He was a sectarian side of the Labour Party, so I think it's been nothing but bad news for Keir Starmer, and not a very good judgment on him.
I think Keir Starmer felt that he was doing the right thing by the country, but has been found out possibly not to be best equipped for the job. I think Peter Mandelson, even from the very moment he started advising Gordon Brown and Tony Blair, has been in it primarily for himself. And the only surprise, I think, is that it's taken us so long to find this out.
The people who are trying to stir up the rubbish about him and implicate him in everything that's going wrong, I think they're just asking for a racist reform government rather than the best government we've got and we've had for a long time. Peter Mandelson, well, he's taken everybody for a ride. People believed him, people trusted him, and he let us all down.
I don't think he's very popular at the minute with a lot of the decisions he's made. I feel like his stance or what he's done with old people and disabled people is a bit out of order, especially with the old people who have worked their whole lives, and then suddenly they're getting more and more taken away from them. Regardless with the Mandelson thing, obviously what he's done is not good. I don't know if it matters who gets into power or not, because it seems like they all have things that they say they're going to do or their plans for things, and then whenever they actually get into power, nothing ever comes of it, or we just end up worse off than we were from the previous person in power.
Who do you think is more to blame, Keir Starmer or Peter Mandelson?
For what?
For the whole fallout, the way it's impacting government?
Mandelson, in my view, has always been quite a man of questionable character. Put it this way, he wouldn't have been in a position to do that if he hadn't been appointed. So I suppose ultimately it's Keir Starmer.
Peter Mandelson is obviously responsible and needs to be held completely accountable for his actions, but I think the fact that something like that can go unknown in Parliament is pretty insane, and I think that there's probably lots of information that was known about and kept quiet. You can never tell, really. We know that people in power will always protect those in power, so I would say that he probably is partly accountable, for the mess that we're in.
I think both of them are to blame, and in different ways. I think Peter Mandelson was probably, as per usual, in it for himself and overreached, and I think Keir Starmer lacked conviction and judgment in allowing him to do so.
Oh, definitely Peter Mandelson. The only thing Keir Starmer did wrong was to trust him.
But don't you think that then shows an error in judgment, that he did trust him?
2020 hindsight's an easy thing to have. You can't know about everybody. If you trust nobody, you're going to get in a frightful mess.
What do you think should happen to Peter Mandelson and Keir Starmer?
I think, so far as Peter Mandelson is concerned, I think his role in public life should now quietly draw to a close. I think the law should be allowed to take its course, and that should end up wherever it takes us. I think, so far as Keir Starmer is concerned, I've lost confidence in him as a Prime Minister because he has undertaken too many U-turns, and a crucial moment seems to have lacked both conviction and judgment.
Oh, put him in jail, let him rot for life. Yeah, what a piece of shit. I mean, I don't really have any compassion for somebody that can commit horrendous crimes like that. I don't think those kinds of people should be allowed to be in the public space. I think they should always be given the opportunity to change and to grow as people, but I don't think he's a good person. I don't think he's likely to change. But maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, put him in jail.
Well, depends what the law may found guilty or not, doesn't it? So we have to assume at the moment he's innocent until proven guilty.
What do you think the outcome will be?
It's technically quite a difficult area to convict someone for it. I know because I used to be I'm a retired solicitor, so I know a little bit about the law. So it's not an easy area to prove.
What makes it challenging to prove guilt or innocence?
Well, it's a common law, so it's not written down other than in judgments, and it requires certain elements to be proven. So they are actually looking to replace it because it's not been... I mean, they use it successfully quite a few times every year to deal with police officers and prison officers.
Forgotten. Just completely forgotten. He shouldn't influence anything again. He shouldn't get a lot of attention, because a lot of what they do it for is attention.
He should face whatever punishment comes his way. I mean, they're not meant to be above the law, but sometimes it feels like they don't really get in trouble for the things that they have done. Hopefully, with more evidence coming to light, the right thing will happen or the right punishment will take place.
And going back to Keir Starmer, what do you think should happen with regards to Keir Starmer?
I think it's a great shame that they didn't allow Andy Burnham to run. One of the problems he's got, why is the Labour mess it's in at the moment? Because so many of its voters have gone over to the Greens. He had basically driven a strategy of effectively insulting all Labour's left-wing voters. And if you keep insulting people, don't expect them to stay with you. If he hadn't lost so many votes to so much voters to the Greens, Labour actually would be in a very competitive position. So I think Andy Burnham would have been far more acceptable to potential Green voters as a leader of the country than Keir Starmer.
So what do you think is going to happen to Labour now?
I hope that Starmer's going to see errors of his ways and start to cultivate people who've gone over to supporting the Green Party, because if he doesn't, Labour have finished.
I don't think he's a very good Prime Minister. I'm surprised that he hasn't resigned over the current scandal.
If you were to resign, what would you want to then happen? What do you want to happen?
Well, that's the problem, because then you leave a void that's probably going to be filled by, maybe a reform government, which in my opinion is going to be probably worse in the long run for the majority of people in this country.
Why do you say that?
Yeah. We know that they're not rooted in love. From what we've seen from them. I have lots of friends that come from minority backgrounds, and it's very clear that those kinds of people aren't welcome in Reform's vision of the future, and that's not the kind of country that I want to live in.
What do you think the future of the Labour Party is going to be, given everything that's going on at the moment?
I think it'll continue to play a major part in British politics for the rest of my lifetime.
I don't particularly necessarily care much about the Labour Party, but I don't want us to have a reform government.
Why is that?
I don't trust them at all.
What in particular don't you trust about that?
About everything. I think they're going to be cutting services to people. They're going to go down austerity. We've already had austerity once. We don't need it 2 times around. They were very pro-Brexit. Well, look what Brexit's brought to this country. Nothing but problems.
I'd like to see a government which cares on behalf of the people of this country and reduces inequalities. But there's an awful lot of people in this country that want to increase inequalities. And this is why a government can't do the good things that it wants to do. I would like to see this country being more generous, more welcoming, valuing all the people, remembering the people that have come into this country and made it a better country. I would like to see that happening, and other people not jumping in the way and trying to stop them.
Well, I think the way that disabled people and elderly people have been treated recently with the latest government isn't the greatest, and I think that they should be helped more than punished for their ailments or their age. I think we're not in a great place as a country.
Why do you say that?
We seem to be struggling financially with everything. The NHS is always struggling. On the news, a lot of people have just been staying in corridors or not actually being treated. So I think the NHS definitely needs more funding or restructuring, because I don't think the way that it is working at the moment.
Why do you think the current government we had, you said earlier that you think it's one of the best that we've ever had. Why do you say that?
Because they're reducing child poverty. They're introducing an awful lot of apprenticeships for young people. They're putting right a lot of the things that the Tory government put wrong. And the Tory government messing about with saying, the situation with student loans is terrible. Well, they started it. Well, they didn't actually start it. They put it up to ridiculous amounts. And now they're saying, they're not actually saying. They're very good at implying without actually saying.
Any final comments?
I'd say if Labour got any common sense, then they'll find a seat for Andy Burnham sooner rather than later. He's the only one who can actually bring back those voters.
I hope it makes Keir Starmer a bit more cynical about who he trusts, but I hope he doesn't stop trusting anybody altogether.
But again, there's a lot of poverty, a lot of people that don't have jobs or can't work, and again, it's like the disabled people and the elderly people are being punished for it as well.
Thanks for asking me.
You're welcome.
That's it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Keir and I'm embarking on an exciting challenge going from 6,000 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers in 1 month. I need your help to achieve this. I am a YouTuber, I make great exciting videos, traveling, asking people about hot topics. You can check out my videos, subscribe, follow, share and like. Let's hit this target of 10,000 subscribers in 1 month. Together we can do this. Let the internet unite and let's make this happen.